हाय एवरीवन एंड टुडे हम एक ऐसी कंपनी रीड करने वाले हैं इसका बिजनेस मॉडल इज डिफरेंट फ्रॉम अदर कंपनीज एंड वी विल ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट आर दे एग्जैक्टली डूइंग इन दिस पार्ट. एंड मैंने एक रिपोर्ट बनाया है विच कंसिस्ट ऑल द डेटा पॉइंट्स अबाउट दिस कंपनी एंड वी विल गो ईच बाय ईच सेगमेंट ऑफ दिस कंपनी एंड वी विल ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड. सो आई वुड सजेस्ट यू टू वॉच द होल वीडियो. अदरवाइज आई एम गोइंग टू ऐड टाइम स्टैम्प्स इन द डिस्क्रिप्शन सो दैट वे अगर किसी को सिर्फ स्पेसिफिक सेगमेंट देखना हो so they can directly go to that part and learn about the company. So let's start. The company today we are going to read about is Zinka Logistics. So first, let's start with what does the company do. So company is the largest full stack tech platform which is giving solutions for truck operators in India. And उनके revenue segment से they cater to tolling. So tolling means for let's say example, अगर कोई driver है who has bought the subscription of this application and they do the payment from that application, so Zinka gets a commission from that part. Then the next is fueling. Fueling means suppose if someone buys any fuel from their application, so they have partnered with IOCL and BPCL, so that is also a subscription based model. Then telematics mein it is something like, for example, if any driver who is going from part A to part B of the country, so वो एप्लीकेशन से दे विल बी ट्रैक्ड. एंड अभी करंटली वन ऑफ द इशू इन इंडिया इज़ दैट जो भी ट्रक ऑपरेटर्स है सो दैट इज़ अ वेरी अनऑर्गेनाइज्ड मार्केट. तो उसका कोई ट्रैक नहीं होता है कि मतलब वेयर इज़ द ड्राइवर करंटली और हाउ मच डिले इज गोइंग टू हैपन, या फिर अगर कोई इशू हुआ कोई ड्राइवर के साथ एंड इफ़ यू वांट टू नो व्हाट इज़ द स्पेसिफिक लोकेशन ऑफ दैट ट्रक, सो दैट वे टेलीमैटिक्स इज गोइंग टू हेल्प अ लॉट एंड विच इज़ ऑलरेडी हेल्पिंग इन दिस सेगमेंट. Then the next is the load matching. Load matching means, for example, suppose there is one shipper and there is one customer who wants that goods. तो shipper what he will do, अभी currently unorganized market है, so that's why they need to reach out to other truck drivers, but Zinka is a middleman. So that way you can say that it is a Uber of this segment जहाँ पे कोई भी shipper रहेगा, so they can directly try to find any drivers on this application. और एग्जाम्पल फॉर द वाइस वर्सा कि अगर कोई ट्रक ड्राइवर है एंड ही वॉन्ट्स एनी न्यू बिजनेस फ्रॉम एनी अदर न्यू शिपर, सो दैट वे दे कैन गेट कनेक्टेड ऑन दिस एप्लीकेशन and this is how this business model work for this segment. And by providing this solution they get the commission freeze from that transaction. And the last one is the vehicle financing. So this was the basic definition of what the company is doing currently. So first let's start with understanding about the history of the company. So I have attached one image. So यहाँ पे we can see that the company was started in 2015. So this company was started by 3 people जिनका काफ़ी ज़्यादा experience है in this industry. And in 2015 they also got an investment from an institutional fund which is Axel India, and currently they are still the investor in this company. And in 2017 they started their fleet management services. Then in 2019 they started payment business for commercial vehicle tooling and fueling. So ये 2017 and 2021 के बीच में the company was not doing that great and it was a very heavy capital intensive business at that time. So इसलिए even the management thought that they need to change the business model from fleet to become a tech solution provider company. And that's why we can see that from 2021 they started the telematic business for vehicle tracking. And in 2022 में उन्होंने vehicle financing business start किया. फिर 2023 में they started load marketplace business. And now currently they have crossed 2 billion revenues, something around 296 crores they have started. But अगर हम उनके पहले के फाइनेंशियल्स देखते so they had higher revenue but उनके losses काफ़ी थे. But currently they have reduced their losses a lot, and this quarter they were first time positive EBITDA wise. And if you look at their PAT from year wise, so they are almost to the break even part. And in 2024 recently they got listed on the markets. So let's get back to the document again. And in 2019 BlackBuck realized that the corporate freight business was very unstable due to the high working capital and low profitability. So that was one of the main reason, as we saw in their history, कि ये reason के वजह से the company was facing losses and then they changed their business model. And अभी currently 40% of the trucks tolling market share is with the BlackBuck, and also they have more than around 390,000 monthly active telematic devices. So currently they are also operating an asset business line model which generates them recurring revenue. And abhi currently because of this business model they neither have any inventory risk or any ownership risk जो उनको पहले था. And in their application they have different languages like Hindi, Kannada, Tamil and Telugu. So currently one of the main issues even in the unorganized market is कि जो भी truck driver या जो भी shipper है, so in order to contact with each other, there is a very huge language barrier overall in India, and Zinka has perfectly placed themselves in this segment because, for example, anyone who is facing any difficulties by any language, so they have started 4 languages which are heavily used in this country. But still there were challenges in the business model, and that we will try to understand now. They have low margins because इसमें बहुत pricing risk होता है due to the daily market fluctuations, and also operational expense are very significant in this segment. Second part is high working capital, which we already discussed, and because of this they have long payment cycles of 60 days from the clients. And third part is that they have started a nationwide approach. अभी ये nationwide approach, why this is an issue? Because for each city, each street, there's different issues going on and we don't even know what is the issue. So इसमें they lack the knowledge which is required to efficiently navigate the highly localized and the dynamics of the trucking industry. Also, they have got investments from Quick Routes, which is a Flipkart backed entity, and also they have received synergies from the captive logistic arm which is known as Ecart. And if you look at the shareholding pattern, currently promoters are 27%, FIs are 11.6%, DIs are 10.26%, and public are 50.44%. So इसमें public का holding is high, which is around 50%, is because Axela, which we read just a few minutes ago, they have invested 10% in this business. So now let's take a quick overview of the industry. So during the time of independence, India में 90% of the freight traffic was from rail, and roads have gained to 70% share in the freight traffic as of FY19. Currently, logistics is accounting for 13% of the Indian GDP, and transportation is accounting for 66% of the logistics spends. And this is a sizable market of around 19 to 19.5 lakh crores by FY28. So that's a very huge number. Also, heavy and medium duty trucks account for 78% of the freight movement, and remaining of 22% is done by the smaller commercial vehicles. So now let's try to understand what are the challenges in this segment. And the first issue is that it is ineffective monitoring, cash leakages, low accessibility, and high intermediation. So these are the structural inefficiencies in this segment. Along with that, there are also other issues like specific needs and the demographics of the truck operators in India. And because of that reason, the cost of operating this business becomes higher. And on the right side, I have also attached one image जहाँ पे we can get the data point of what is the revenue pool from each revenue segment and what is the CAGR they are going to grow till FY28. So the data points which are in this image, मैंने उसको एक revenue segment में I have bifurcated it more clearly. So now let's go there. So in these 5 revenue segments, I have also attached one image on the right hand side. So we can clearly see that tolling and telematics, they consist most of the revenue, which is around 61% in tolling and 25% in telematics, and the rest of the fueling, load marketplace, and vehicle financing, they are almost around 5 to 2%. We will start with the first revenue segment, which is the tolling part, and in FY24 the trucking segment accounted for 75% of the total toll collection in India, and which was possible because of the frequent use of the toll highways compared to the passenger vehicles. And also the truck operators are significant toll users, so they pay an average of 16,000 to 18,000 per month, and on average they do 50 swipes per month. The second point is that the toll collection is expected to grow at a CAGR of 12 to 16% during FY24 till FY28, and the reasons they have said that because of the expansion of toll highways, increase in the toll fare per plaza, and the surge in the transactions by the commercial vehicles. But Zinka also sees competition from FASTag issuing banks in this segment. Now let's get to the second revenue segment, which is the fueling one. So diesel consumption in India has reached to 89 million metric tons, which is growing at a CAGR of 2% over the past 5 years. And commercial vehicles, trucks, they account for 62 to 65% of the overall consumption. Now, if we look opportunity wise, India fueling revenue opportunity is roughly around 1,630 crores to 1,720 crores, which is expected to grow at 19 to 21% CAGR till FY28. So the third revenue segment is the telematics one, and the tracking device penetration market has increased from 15-20% in FY21 to 30-35% by FY24 to approximately 3,440 crores to 3,520 crores, and it is expected to grow at 16-18% CAGR till FY28 with a revenue pool of almost 6,300 crores till 6,800 crores. The next revenue segment is the load marketplace. The Indian road freight industry is around something 19.8 lakh crores to 20.2 lakh crores and moving 3.3 trillion ton kilometers as of FY24 with 9% CAGR over the past 4 years, and this is expected to grow at a CAGR of 8 to 9% for FY24 till FY28. Also, there are subscription plans which are priced at 5,000 to 10,000 rupees per month, which could potentially generate a revenue pool of around 30,000 to 34,000 crores annually. And also, if we take a look at the platforms which can charge commission, mirroring offline practices, so there is a revenue pool opportunity of around 68,000 crores to 1,11,000 crores annually. And the last revenue segment is the vehicle financing. So currently, the market for used vehicle financing is around 4,64,000 crores to 4,80,000 crores in FY24, which accounts for 63% of the vehicle financing market. So the revenue pool in the difference between their interest income and their expenses is currently around almost 56,000 crores to 60,000 crores. And also looking ahead, this market is projected to grow significantly around 1,03,000 crores to 1,12,000 crores by FY28. And if we look at their financials, so in FY22, they made a sales of 120 crores. In FY24, they had a sales of 296 crores, and they are expecting that the sales are going to go up to 728 crores in FY27, and they are expecting a CAGR growth of 30.6% from FY25 till FY27. And even if you look at their EBITDA, which was negative, in FY25, the first time they became positive with 93 crores, and उनके EBITDA forecasting में they have said that 63.5% CAGR growth can be seen from FY25 till FY27, and currently their EBITDA margins are around 21.8%. Now, I was not talking about their PAT and the PAT margin because there were some differences in this data point and the data point which is in the screener. The data points about EBITDA margin and the EBITDA is same which is shown in the screener, so that's why I have talked about these two numbers specifically. And if we take a look at their ratios, currently they have no debt because they are operating asset light business. Currently the EPS is negative, then their ROC is 10.7 and ROA is 9.1. So ये सब देखने के बाद there are research firms who are expecting that because of this turnaround which is happening in the company, they are expecting that this company is going to do very good in the coming future. Now the next data point जो हम read करने वाले हैं, it is very interesting because that data point is shared by GM Financials, and they have done a conversation with fleet operators and the truck drivers by themselves. So trucks on average 400 to 500 kilometers per day travel करते for around 12 hours. Then an efficient trucker would do around 4 to 5 round trips a month. Then trucks have reservation against express shipping where they do movement of 700 to 900 kilometers per day because the life of the trucks drops sharply. So from Delhi to Kolkata, around 1500 kilometer trip, they generate 60 to 70,000 rupees, but while doing the return journey, they generate 30 to 40% of the onward rate. So the reason they earn more while doing the return journey is because they break the return journey to generate more income. So like for example, from Kolkata to Jamshedpur and then Jamshedpur to Delhi, then the customer look truck storage as a cheaper warehousing space. So that's why they only pay around 1,200 to 1,500 rupees per day, which is significantly lower than their daily EMI. Then on an average, the truck operator earns around 20 to 25% of the net profit per trip, and उसमें से 50 to 60% goes in the EMI and 10 to 20% goes in the insurance and the driver salaries. Then on average, a truck operator will generate only around 20 to 25,000 monthly, and if someone जिसको नया truck buy करना है, so on an average, the price of new truck is around 3,50,000 rupees. And the last point is that this is usually the last career choice because there is always a threat of death and you need to stay away from your family. So now let's get to the next segment where what has the management said during their current con call. And the first point they have talked about is they're expecting user growth to increase. Then about the cash flow, there's going to be temporary working capital and the NBFC loan disbursement impact in FY25, and they're expecting that normalized cash generation is expected to track EBITDA. Then they have not given any specific revenue guidance, and they have suggested growth which is based on kilometers built in the country, toll fare inflation, the number of trucks, and the market share gains. Then about the load brokerage segment, they have said that the investment is still not material in the P&L yet. About the core businesses, which is the tolling and the tracking, which consist of 85% of their revenue. So currently the market share in tolling is at around 45%, which is up from 37% in FY24. And about the growth businesses, which is the fuel sensor, loads, and the vehicle financing, which consist of 15% of their revenue. So they have said that the fuel sensor sales have doubled Q on Q basis. And the key developments they have said about is the telematics and hardware, where they are doing in-house AIS device, which is currently the lowest cost in India, and they have market share of 30% in tracking and 40 to 45% in the fuel sensors. And about the vehicle financing, they have said that they have expanded to 100 hubs. So according to the GM financial expectations, they have said that the revenue is going to grow at a CAGR of 31% over FY24 till FY29. And उन्होंने each revenue segment का भी CAGR growth बताया. And the second point they have discussed is about the payment and the telematic business, where they are expecting 16 to 18% growth, and where they are expecting that they are going to continue to gain market share in this segment. Now, if we take a look at some of the financial ratios, so currently their market cap is 7,700 crores. They have a free float of 18%. Their CFO by EBITDA is 93%. So that is a very great number. The PEG ratio is around 1.06. That means the company is growing very fast, and they have a PE ratio of 23.4. But of course, after reading good data points of this company, there are risks which we need to focus on. So the risk they have mentioned is that the growth is slightly slowing in the larger tooling and the telematic business. Then there is scaling challenges happening in this segment and the vehicle financing business. The third risk is about the fast tag mechanism via the GNSS, which is a satellite tech. अगर वो यूज़ करना स्टार्ट किया गवर्नमेंट, विच दे आर ऑलरेडी प्लानिंग टू डू, so that is a big threat for the Zinka. But as per the management commentary, they have said that this threat is not in the short term. And the last point is that they have a very huge client concentration in their payment and the telematics segment. So currently in the market, there is no same company जो बिजनेस मॉडल जिनका में ऑपरेट कर रहा है. बट नाउ यहाँ पे हम दूसरे कंपनीज देख सकते हैं, एंड वी विल ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड हाउ जिनका इज डूइंग बेटर compared to these tech companies. So now if we take a look at the FY30 expected EBITDA margins, so BlackBuck has around 49.2%, which is higher than the other companies. Zinka has around 31.4 CAGR, which is similar to Zomato's 34.1 CAGR. So if you look at the capex, their number is currently higher than the other companies. If you look at the working capital, they have very great working capital compared to the other companies. If you look at marginal incremental profitability, they have 43%, which is higher than other companies. If we take a look at the revenue predictability, Policy Bazaar का highest है and Zinka has medium. If we take a look at the customer loyalty, Zinka, FirstCry and Nykaa, they have high customer loyalty. Then if we take a look at the serviceable market size, Zinka का medium है, and Swiggy and Zomato, they have high market size. And if we take a look at the comparative intensity, Zinka has very low compared to what Swiggy and Zomato is having. And also after the Rapido's news कि वो भी ये segment में आने वाला है, so competition और ज़्यादा increase हो गया है. And now let's get to the last part, which is the technicals. And now if you look at the chart of the Zinka, so अभी currently वो थोड़ा consolidate तो कर रहा है, and recently there was a huge buying or huge volumes in this stock. So 25 millions worth of trade हुए थे, and if you look at their average volumes, it is around 50 to 1 lakh of shares. But on this day, they had volumes of almost 25.7 million. So that's a very huge number, and we can expect that there's something happening in this company. There might be some big investor or some funds who are planning to buy this company. So let's see how it does in the coming future. So thank you for watching this video. I hope this research about Zinka was helpful. And for more content like this, you can subscribe my channel. You can also write about your opinions. What do you think about the company? Whether the company will do good or bad in the coming future. You can definitely write it down in the comment section. Until then, see you in the next video.